All right, everybody, so we finally made it to the last part in our hip bump sweep series. Jordan's been kind enough to show us both the sweep and multiple options, all right, based on what kind of energy they're giving you when you really drive those hips into them. Today we're going to kind of take a different tactic, as Jordan's going to break down a little bit how you can use the hip bump to control the battlefield, as in you can get different looks on the space and range, and you can use it to either open up options to break down the posture, or if they're going to just stall you out and shut down all of the things that you've thrown at them, you can actually use that as an opportunity to just change the dynamic, put yourself in the driver's seat in a offensive position. So take a look and really listen, because this is a very, very important lesson in not getting stalled out from your game and keeping things moving, keeping things offensive.
Awesome, yeah, so this is a huge part of my game now, and this is actually more how I utilize the hip bump. I used to use the Kimura, the triangle a bunch of other stuff. This now, I'm more of a top game player. I use it to break posture, and I use it to gain more like advantageous aggressive positions.
Yep.
It just works for my game better, and that's how honestly I encourage everyone to utilize submissions and positions. Don't just take them as, at least of course foundationally, yes,
sure,
take them as a technique. Afterwards, understand the system, why they're used, why they work, and when they don't work. So let's go ahead and hop into it. I'm going to go through a bunch of different submission options. I'm not going to go into the firm individual techniques or finishes on all of them. I'm just going to, essentially I'm here to help you think broader about this sweep and how it can be utilized. So first of all, if someone's posturing down really hard, it's probably not the right time to use the hip bump. The hip bump is used for someone who's postured up, he's trying to break your base, you can't reach him, and you're able to isolate an arm. Now, what typically happens in the hip bump is one of three things, and I'm going to go through all three of those. When you go up for the hip bump, number one, they're going to barrel into you and sit you right down on your back. Number two, you're going to come up to them and they're going to posture up really high. You're going to try and hip bump, and it'll end up in this like really awkward stage and you're not really sure what to do. Or number three, a lot of times they're going to post us a leg out. I'm going to go into hint at something right here but not go too into it, but you come up and they post a leg out and it's really difficult to get underneath it. You see a bunch of wrestlers do that. I'm not sure if you've experienced it.
Yeah.
So for the first one, use the hip bump to break posture. If you think about it, you can use it as a sweep, a submission, a bunch of different things. If I'm going into him, I'm going for the sweep, and he barrels into me, well, I win. If I'm a guard player, I broke his posture. I personally go into Sean Williams. You can go straight into rubber guard. You can go straight into an omoplata, a bunch of different things. But here's what you're looking to do is you want to make sure you scoot that hip out. So you're going up, he barrels into you, you immediately scoot the hip out as soon as he comes. This is where I'm working. I work Sean Williams. You can go straight for omoplata. You can go for different rubber guards. I mean, there's a bunch of different options right here. But essentially, use the hip bump to break posture if he pushes back into you. That's exactly what you want. Now you have a hold of him. Next option is if he posts his knee up. I'm going to go through that. This one is, if you work a specific game, I wouldn't try it because you could give up a passer position. But if you're going for the hip bump and he posts up and you're good with the leg game, you can absolutely start working the leg game. I have started working that more lately as I've been developing my leg game. But that's an option. Same thing. If he gives it to you, take it. And lastly, here's my favorite. And it's kind of counterintuitive. For some reason, people don't do it. They feel like
it's the kind of thing that people just don't give them permission to do. Like, they think it's like bad form on the mat, and it's really not. And it's something you really should be training for if you want to compete or anything like that. Like, if someone's giving you the opportunity to just take a dominant position, do it.
Yeah.
Passive rolling isn't going to help you.
Exactly. So this is going to be if he doesn't break posture. I come up, and he is just pushing as hard as he can. Guys, just sit out. I use this all the time. Right now, I'm honestly such a more aggressive and a passer game. That's how I use it. I push into him, and I sit out, and I start passing instead. This is my personal favorite. And that's all we've got, because really you've got more leg locks off of that. You have passes off of that. You've got omoplatas off of the hip bump. Kimuras off of the hip bump. I mean, you have so many options. It's not just the sweep.
Yeah, I think it's a broader dynamic. Is if we're rolling with each other and Jordan is not taking an aggressive posture, then know that there's nothing wrong with you taking that aggressive posture. If he starts moving forward, it invites me. It makes me want to take more of a defensive posture. So understand that no matter what the dynamic or technique, if he's going for that sweep and I'm not engaging with him, I'm pushing backward, I'm right here, he is allowed to just take the aggressive posture and put himself in a position to begin a more like classic offense, the passing, the leg attacks, if I'm leaving him up there, things like those. It invites that kind of a dynamic now. So.
Exactly. And that, I mean, that's really what this episode is use it to break posture.
Yeah.
Use it to take a more aggressive stance. Use it to submit. Use it to sweep, because that's really what it is. At the end of the day, don't force anything. There's so many options off of this position. If you go to sweep and he pushes back in, his posture's broken. If you go to sweep and he gives you the arm, then sweep him. He never posts it out. If he posts out, you have an option for both the Kimura and the triangle.
Yeah.
Let him make the decision. At the end of the day, you go for the sweep full-heartedly.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work out, you have a lot of really good options from it. So that's the last episode in the hip bump series. That's how I like to utilize it.
Yeah.
Like, subscribe,
share,
message us, share, tell us if you're starting to work this, ask us questions.
Yeah, give us feedback.
Exactly. We're going to start doing more things like that. I know Luke has a bunch of stuff coming up.
Yep.
That's going to be kind of what our series is to look like. They might be from a particular position. They might be from a particular submission, kind of like how I utilize this to bait other things. There's a bunch of awesome stuff.
Let us know what kind of contact you prefer too. We'd love to be able to, we're so appreciative of the loyalty and support we've received from our audience. So we'd love to be able to cater to you guys and give you more directly what you guys want to.
Yeah. And we're not done with the hip bump. We might come back. I have back takes from this that I land pretty regularly. I have arm bars from this that I land pretty regularly.
Yep.
I do use that leg lock now. Those are things that I can go in more detail later. They're also things that aren't very counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Or they are counterintuitive. They do rely a little bit on athleticism, so I don't want to go right into that yet. But for the guys who have my similar style, I know it can be beneficial and valuable to them.
Yeah.
So coming up, I'm sure I'll teach you some cool back takes and arm bars and stuff like that. So thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time.